Attention Austin guitarist, are you in need of setup or repair on your axe? Well, I have the guy for you. That's my friend Jason Swedberg over at J. Scott Lutherie. You can find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Facebook. Gang, I've been taking my guitars to Jason for over 20 years, and not only does he do the very best job, but he has the fastest service and the best prices in town. Find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Facebook or jason.swedberg@gmail.com. Gang, whether it's acoustic or electric, Jason is your guy. Get your guitars fixed. Hey gang, are you in a band in Austin? You're looking to make the leap from the band of schmoes to the band of pros? Well, you can start by rehearsing at Space. Space is a state-of-the-art affordable venue for rehearsal and recording located just a few short miles south of downtown Austin. 31 spacious rooms, great PAs, and a very helpful and courteous staff. They have adapted to the COVID standards, and it is a very safe place to rehearse. You move in one way, you go in one door, you go out the other, you bring your own microphones. That's Space Rehearsal and Recording. Find them at 512-448-9518 or go to spaceatx.com and take the talent train from Schmoesville to Protown with Space Rehearsal and Recording. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right, hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys are all having a good week. Things are opening back up here in Austin. It's been interesting, man. All the old places where I hang out are back. Went to Continental Club last night. Saw John D. Graham play with his band. Saw Scrappy Judd Newcomb play. I'm going to be playing with him on some of those Wednesdays over at Continental Club. It's weird going out to a late show though. You know, show that starts like at 11:45. At night on a Wednesday. Just, it's strange going out to see, music that late. I was there until they closed last night. It was a good time. It was great to see all of these people I haven't seen in a long time, and there's so much gratitude going on with the musicians and the audience right now. I hope that it stays like that. I hope that people stay really appreciative, on both sides. We've all complained about going to work. Playing the gigs, just going to work. Sometimes you complain on your way there. Maybe you shouldn't, because it's fucking awesome. John D. Graham made it perfectly clear that it was like the greatest night of his life. I thought he cried like 4 times, I think, on stage. Anyway, great to get out and go to the Continental Club, my favorite place to go to in town, and hang out. I'll be hanging out more, I guess, as the weeks go on. Guys, I have a great show for you today. The amazing singer James Robinson is back on the show today. Now, he's been touring with Temple Underground on their New Dawn tour, all around the Southeast and the South. Touring, getting it on. They booked the shows like before everything really opened up. They were doing like these sort of limited capacity shows, but now things are opening up. Things are getting bigger. They're taking a little break and they're going back out on the road in July. So look for that. But a year ago this week, James Robinson called me in the wake of the death of George Floyd and all the protests that were going on and sort of all the chaos and the intensity. And he reached out to me and told me that he thought this would be a great platform for me to sit down and talk to members of the Black community to get the story, to figure out what's going on, to get the real story behind what it is, have those difficult conversations. And so I set out on a journey learning. And you guys were learning in real time as well. And James set me up with all kinds of musicians, actors, dancers, lobbyists. I talked to all kinds of people. It was an enlightening and educational summer, one that I will never forget. It changed my life, everything that I learned. I read books, I watched documentaries, I had intense conversations, asked questions I'd never asked before. I was too nervous to ask, to find out the story of what's going on. What is this race thing here in America? What is systemic racism? What does that look like from the inside, being Black? So anyway, it was great. James and I've gotten to spend time with him throughout the year. He put on this great show in Smithville on Labor Day last year with Bobby Sparks and Temple Underground and other people playing. And it was a beautiful, beautiful night of music that the soul was lifted. I was telling him I left there and was walking on clouds for days after it, just from the enriching musical experience I was around, where people were improvising and just like being in the moment, making this music. There was no stage per se. There was an area that was kind of roped off of the stage, but everyone was on the same level. You know what I mean? Something happened psychologically like that. Everyone's lifted. And I saw the first night of the Temple Underground tour like a month ago, or a little over a month ago, here in Austin at Antone's. Amazing show. And then I got to open for them on Friday night in Houston at Rockefeller's, and we had a great time. The photo that you'll see in the Facebook page and Instagram and on all the socials is a photo of me and James from Friday night. So anyway, it was great getting to catch up with James, seeing what he's doing. He's making a record called Rivers of My Father out in Memphis, which hopefully will be done by the fall, he says. And he wrote a lot of songs. It's a concept record about his father's life, kind of telling his father's story. But it started with a cover of a song called Rivers of My Father by Gil Scott-Heron. So he sent me a live version of that, even though he's recording it for the record. Sent me a live version of that to play for you guys. So you'll hear a little bit of it now. You'll hear a little more after we talk, and then you'll hear the rest of it, because it is a long song. You'll hear the rest of it at the end of this podcast. But it was great getting to sit down with my friend James. I love him. He's a beautiful person. He's an instigator. He gets things going. He gets people doing stuff. And he's an exciting person to be around. He has great ideas, and he gets them done. So, without further ado, please enjoy my conversation a year later with my dear friend, James Robinson. Let's get down. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Enjoying this rain.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's pretty intense. I was out on a walk this morning, and it started raining.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't enjoy it as much as you did. So a year ago this week was when you called me. And I came out to Smithville, and we kind of embarked on this journey. And one of the things that I remember throughout the journey that I learned from Bevis Griffin that stood out a lot was that change is glacial. And do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you see, like, okay, so last year in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, there were protests, there was people learning like they never had before, much like myself. And now we're a year down the road. And to me, there's conversations being had that weren't being had a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But as far as change goes, what do you see that's changed in the last year?
Well, I think people got more educated.
Yeah.
About what's been going on in the country for years and years and years and years. And if their eyes were closed, they got opened. You know, recently, everyone's eyes got open to the truth. And, he also said, we have to practice intellectual humility too. So I feel what that means is, you can't hold someone accountable for what they don't know. And if you know the truth, then use that as an opportunity to educate instead of putting someone down for what they what they may not understand or what they don't know. And it's been a cool journey, you know, with a lot of my friends who are not Black, you know, asking questions and, you know, having conversations and, you know, just being really understanding, about what happened and what's going on and what needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like those conversations are happening at a higher level too now that there's a different administration. There's not as much of a, they're going to like, I feel like the general vibe during last year was like there are people who were like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that this was just a whole systemic thing, you know? Mm-hmm. And then you start going through history, like kind of like, you know, I feel like I was kind of guided by you and then kind of took off on my own learning experience for, you know, pretty much the whole summer between reading books, watching documentaries, learning about people I had never even heard of before that were huge, had a huge impact on our country and in this world. And, I feel like conversations are being had that weren't had before, but I just wondered if you noticed that there is some sort of change. Like within the Austin music scene, we had the whole Jackie Venson thing where she stood up and really kind of like, I feel like it shook the whole scene between her and Chaka.
Yeah, and that's how it starts. You know, people stepping up and you know, just speaking the truth and making those that are unaware aware of what's happening and resources and opportunities being, you know, got spread out more across the board for Black artists in Austin, and it's been really, really cool. And it happened really, really fast too. So, yeah, shout out to Jackie Benson and Shaka and all of the artists that you know, spoke up and spoke out, you know, on your platform and on their social media, and you know, it's been cool, and it's still going on. So I'm excited.
That's good, man. When you toured this year, which it's over, right? The New Orleans was the last date of the Temple Underground tour.
We go back out in July.
Okay.
4th of July weekend, we'll be back out on the road.
Where are you guys going?
We're gonna play Little Rock, hopefully Nashville, and we're playing Memphis. So a little short, you know, 3-4 night tour, and then come back to Texas.
That's good, man. I got to see the first night of it at Antone's when it started, and I got to play with you guys on Friday in Houston at Rockefeller's. And
yeah, you did your thing.
Yeah, man. You guys were on fire.
Thank you.
Like from the get-go. Do you feel it becoming like more of a machine? You know how like it, you know what I mean? Like once you're out doing it and playing every night in front of different people, all of a sudden like you can take it to another level.
Yeah. Yeah. With us, I think our chemistry, we had 7 years to develop our chemistry that you see on stage. So when I first linked up with Brandon and Dee, and at the time Dave Manley, he was living in Philly, and he moved down here to Austin, and we met him through a mutual friend. And so at that time, we were doing, I think we played like 3 nights a week. We had a gig at Continental Gallery, we played at Vince Young's, and we played somewhere else. So we had all of that time to play together. And then, the majority of our gigs were like 3-4 hour gigs. So it's just years and years of us just jamming together, so yeah, our chemistry is definitely super tight at this point.
Yeah. Were you guys like, I've got a lot of questions, musical questions that we've never gotten to cover about this, and especially now that I've gotten to watch you guys. But one of the things that I was wondering is were those being recorded in some way?
What do you mean?
The shows? Did you record any of the shows?
Back in the day? Or
No. Like in this last tour?
We got some video. I don't know if the venue... I know in Nashville, we did a live recording. Yeah, we did a live recording in Nashville, and Little Rock, they recorded our show. So yes.
Yeah, well, basically because the reason why I'm asking is because there's magic that you guys are achieving each night that I'm sure is a little different with each place you go and each room you play and each audience you play for, and the improvisational nature of what you guys are doing. I would just be like, man, that would just make an incredible album if you could find,
Yeah, we played City Winery, and I forgot they did record the audio for that, and we played a spot in Little Rock called Aphrodisia. A friend of mine, this cat named Tim Anthony, he and his brother, they have a recording studio / like performance space, and they were able to record video and audio of that performance. So yeah, we got a few. We don't have every performance that we did recorded, but we got a few of them.
Well, it's also such a it's a significant tour, I think, that you guys will never forget, just simply that you came out so early. I was thinking about this last night. I went to Continental Club last night, but when I went to the first show at Antone's, it was like, okay, there's a show. There's not a lot of people there anymore. Everyone needs to be sitting down. You get up, you got to put on this mask. Dude, last night I got to Continental Club. It was just packed, no mask, people fucking hugging, kissing. And then the other night when we played in Houston, it was the same kind of thing.
We're officially back now.
Yeah.
It's pretty trippy to see that, because it's almost like we didn't have, there wasn't like a day set on the calendar, like, on this day, everything opens up. It just all of a sudden one day, things are just back to normal.
No, but I thought like when you booked it and announced it, it was still pretty early, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like February or March.
It was. I mean, how that whole tour came about. We were just having conversations, about what can we do if things aren't open here. Then maybe we need to go. We should get on the road and just go where things are open and just, play wherever we can. And so it started with, we were just going to do one show. We got booked in Marietta. So our tour manager, Fontaine Lewis, he runs a space in Marietta called Jazz and Joe's. So he had reached out about us playing there, and we were like, man, it'd be cool if we just connect more dates to that. So we started reaching out to our friends in Memphis, in Little Rock, in Nashville. And then, we got some stuff here in Austin. So it just turned into a tour. But it just started with us just, coming up with a plan B. If things are just closed here, let's just go where we can play. And then once we booked that stuff, that's when the announcement was made that things were opening back up in Austin. So
Right.
we were able to do Antones, and it just worked out that way.
So as far as the music goes, how, like, are these songs that you and Brannon and those guys have written together? Are they songs that you've written? Like, who's...
So it's a combination. The first record, the songs from New Dawn, we all collaborated on those tunes. We wrote them together, and the newer stuff, I've been writing some things like in terms of like lyrics and doing some production stuff at home, and then Brannon will do some production stuff in Austin, and he'll send like some music and maybe something that I wrote, to a track that I did at home. If he sends me an instrumental, I'll take the lyrics off of what was going to be on this track, and I'll just sing them over some new music that he sends. So we just collaborate like that. We just kind of share music. He'll send me some stuff, I'll send him some stuff. So we've got so much music, man. We got stuff that we did with Dave and D from like years ago. And we got a bunch of stuff we did with Nick Clark. So we just kind of, collaborate like that until we're able to all get in the same space and just play together.
When you guys when you were writing originally, like all in the same room at the same time?
Yeah, normally when we go in the studio before the lockdown, we'll just track live. So we'll mic everything up and we just play.
That's amazing.
Or I'll write something at home and just bring it into the studio, and they'll start playing and I'll just start singing.
What about like on your website, there's a Black Fret video. How old is that? Is that from this last year?
That was recently, Johnny.
Yeah.
It's like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
So those are songs that you wrote. That's a different band.
Yes. So those are songs. So how that whole thing came to be, I did I was asked to do the Bob Dylan tribute for Black Fret. And originally I was only going to just sing that one song for the tribute. And I was asked after the performance, could I come back that evening and do a full performance with a live band? And it was so last minute. I had to, just get on the phone and just reach out to some friends and see who all could, because it was a Sunday, see who all could come down and play with me. And, the three cats that I reached out to, we had never rehearsed together, and two of them hadn't even heard, any of my material that I wanted to do. So we just pretty much, it was all improv, what I did for my Black Fret performance.
God damn, man, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, we just made all of that stuff up on stage.
And you're totally comfortable doing that?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah? Are you always singing in your head?
I'm not singing in my head. I sing around the house a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, singing is therapeutic for me. So, just therapy. Yeah, I'm always singing around the house.
Well, all that music is great. Like, I'm glad that you kept it. Like, do you take something like that performance and go through and go like, oh, well, shit, man, I'll do this song in a regular, like...
Yeah. If I like the vibe, then, we'll take those renditions into the studio and cut them the right way.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, there's a musical fluidity to you. That's what I was saying. Are you always singing in your head? Because you just kind of move from thing to thing. And, you know, watching that band, it didn't look like some band that didn't even know what they were going to play and was just improvising shit.
Yeah, most of you know, the majority of the musicians that I play with or that I know, they all have a background in improvisation. So I knew who to call to do that type of thing. And so, you know, reaching out to Adam and Eli and Chip, I knew they could flow like that.
Yeah.
So.
And you've also been doing some recording in Memphis, your hometown. Yes. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, you know, during the lockdown, reached out to my friend Blue Mitchell and, you know, asked if I could come to Memphis. We could block out the studio for a week and work on some records. So I've been doing stuff at home, but, you know, I can do a lot, you know, at my space. But, you know, with live drums and full band stuff, I have my spots I like to go to. So I reached out to him, and it was a great opportunity to go back home and, you know, visit with my family and see my mother and my sisters and, you know, get in Royal. Royal just has you know, it's just a great place to record live drums and guitar and was able to do some mixing. So that was a really fun session. I'm actually going back probably in the next couple of months
to finish it up.
Yeah.
So when you do these songs on your own at your place, what are those are the demos of the songs. So tell me what those, like, how do you do that? Is it like, do you use a drum machine? Do you play guitar or keyboards or something?
Yeah. I use drum machines, guitar, bass, keyboards, piano, just whatever I have there. So yeah, I'll just do all of the, I'll just make like a dummy track, or just a, you know, solid demo and put a playlist together of all of those demos and just keep listening to them and you know, save them for when I go back to Royal, or if I'm working at Arlen, or if I'm working at Treehouse Studios.
I like Treehouse.
So
I like Arlen too.
Man, I love Treehouse too. We stopped by and saw Joe before we hit the road. We had to pick up a guitar from him. So Dave Manley and I were together. Joe said, "Man, you guys are the first cats that have been inside of the studio since the lockdown."
Jesus.
Yeah. So it was cool to see our good friend Joe, and you know, hopefully when he gets to get the studio back open for business, we'll be back in there recording.
So when do you think you'll have this stuff that you've been recording in Memphis? Like, when do you think that you'll be putting that out?
That's the question everybody asks me all the time. And the answer is, I don't know. When we're done mixing and when the songs are everything that I want to say has been said. So it's a concept album. You know, because it's dedicated to my dad, you know, some of the songs they're still coming through me. Some, you know, it's weird. I have to wait for them to come. But I feel good about everything that's been recorded so far. But I think there's a little bit more left to say before the album is done. Yeah.
So it's a concept album about your dad or some facet of your dad, or what is the
so
concept?
It's the name. Yeah, the record is called Rivers of My Father, and I don't know if maybe I did tell you this, but my dad died in November of 2019.
Yeah,
and he passed away while I was in Germany. I was actually on tour with Bobby Sparks, and I got word that my dad had passed. So We were at the end of the tour. I was able to get back to the States and get to Memphis to pay respects to him. But after his passing, I decided to change the direction and the title of my album and dedicate it to him. So going back to Memphis for his funeral, I was at my mom's house and she was pulling out all of these photographs from, their wedding day, just all of these pictures I hadn't, some I had seen of my dad before, but I hadn't seen in a long time, and other pictures I had never seen before. And so, it's weird, man. It's like when my dad died, I was riding through the streets of Memphis and I was thinking about him and I was just saying, man, this is where he walked and lived his life and invested so much of his time and his energy into this area, into this city. And so I wanted to tell my father's story. My dad, he was thrown a serious challenge in life at an early age, because my grandmother, his mother, she was murdered when my dad was about, I believe he was like 11 or 12.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So my grandmother, she was a singer. She was actually a really, really great singer from what I was told. And, cause neither one of my parents could sing. So people always ask like, man, where do you and your sister get your singing talents from? And we got it from our grandmother. And so, yeah, she was murdered when my dad was a kid. He was 11 or 12 years old. And back in those days, she was the choir director. And back in those days, the church choir, they would march in from the streets into the church. Right. And there was a man, I guess she was dating, or, they had some type of disagreement or something. And he walked up on her that Sunday morning and he grabbed her by the arm. And when she tried to pull away from him, he pulled out a gun and he shot the woman in the head.
Jesus Christ.
Right there, man, in front of, right there in front of the church. And it happened right in front of my dad. And so
God damn.
I remember my mom, she told me, she said, I met your dad when I was in college, but, my whole life, I always knew of your dad.
Right.
Because of what happened to his mother. So my mom's mom, my other grandmother, she used to have like these tea parties or whatever back in the day. And so all of the ladies in her neighborhood would come and they would sit around the table, and they would talk and have tea and stuff. And my mom remembered as a little girl overhearing the conversations that her mother and the other ladies were having. And they were talking about the incident that took place at the church. And they were saying, did you hear what happened to Elaine? My grandmother, her name was Elaine.
Right.
Did you hear about what happened to Elaine, man? Like, I wonder what's going to happen to her children and, things like that. So when my mom got introduced to my father through my uncle, through her brother, when they were much older, she was like, oh, that's the guy whose mom got killed.
Right.
So, yeah, so just hearing those stories, and it was always something that it was like an unspoken rule in the house. Never ask my dad about that situation, never talk about it. Don't ask him any questions about it. I mean, how I even know the details about what happened is my dad's brothers, my uncles, who were also there that morning when it happened, they told me and my sisters, the details about, what happened. And I remember my uncle was talking about like that night, on that day that it happened, that night, my dad and all of my uncles and my aunt Mary Ethel, they all slept in my grandmother's bed. And I just imagine, man, these children just all like in a circle, man, just sleeping in this woman's bed. And my Uncle Marvin, he was saying, man, he had tried to block it out of, his mind, what happened that morning. And he said, he remembered that night. It was just so much food at their house. Right. Like people were just bringing all of this food. Yeah. And so shortly after, her funeral, my dad and all of his brothers and sisters were split up. So my dad, he lived in foster homes for many years. And so he was apart from his siblings for a long time, And my Uncle Ronnie actually got adopted by a family that lived, I don't know if they lived in the neighborhood or kind of like, or they were friends with my mom's parents, but she actually knew the people. My mom knew the people that adopted my Uncle Ronnie, because she remembered he would like play basketball with my uncles on her side. So it was just a real fucked up situation. I can't imagine.
God, no shit.
Yeah. So, just, going back and paying respects to this man and looking at those pictures. I remember talking with Brandon about, like when I went back home and my mom was pulling out all these photographs of my dad. And I was like, man, it was so funny to see these pictures, because I'm looking at the age my father was in these photographs. And you know how you can just see that that look of optimism on someone's face about life. Yeah. Like he can't believe that, he has this lovely woman who agreed to marry him. Yeah. And, he probably thought, man, my life is about, I'm about to make money. I got a wife. I'm about to start a family. I mean, how anyone would be thinking, in their early 20s, they're newly married. And so, it just made me think about a lot of things. Like, wow, back in those days, like when my parents got married, who would have ever thought, like we'd be living in a lockdown or a pandemic would happen, or, or 9/11 would have happened, or, so just that look in his eye and on his face, I knew that I should change the direction and focus of my album and dedicate it to him. And also, hanging out with a mentor friend of mine, Hannibal Lacumbi. He taught me, when you approach music, the best way to write is to write about your family, to tell your family story. If you do that, you'll never have writer's block. You'll never have to search for concepts or things to write about. Just tell your story, tell your family's story.
That's brilliant.
Write songs about your mother, write songs about your father, write songs about your brothers and sisters, write songs about your uncle, your aunt, So
that's amazing.
That's how Rivers of My Father was created.
So what was your what kind of relationship did you have with your dad? Was it?
Man, my dad was awesome, man. My dad. So my dad was a minister. So my dad and my mom are the reason why I even do music, because they played music around the house. Really, really great music, gospel music, jazz, blues, R&B, everything. And, it was because of church. I would like to sit by the drummer when the drummer would play. At this church we attended. And my dad was the one that saw that I had an interest in playing the drums. So he bought me a drum set, any instrument that I wanted. My dad, keyboards, guitars, at a young age, my dad, invested, in that for me. So my dad used to try to put me on to like OV, right? It's funny because I've grown. I've grown as a musician, because at the time I'm probably like 13, 14 years old. My dad's like trying to get me to listen to OV, right? I'm like, man, I don't want to listen. I'm like thinking in my head, I don't want to listen to this old ass shit. But when I think about it now, it's like, I love OV Wright. OV Wright is the shit, man.
Yeah.
So my dad, I wasn't ready, but he was hipping me to some really cool stuff. Like he was trying to get me into the blues, but I was just so stuck in like R&B or whatever the music was at that time, for my age group. But he definitely was trying to point me in the right direction in terms of inspiration. And I remember watching, when I saw the documentary Watt Stacks.
Yeah.
First time I ever saw that was with my pops, hanging out with my dad one Saturday night. He put it on and he was trying to educate me. He was showing me this performance footage of Larry Dotson, who used to be the lead, who is the lead singer for the Parquets. And he was showing me Larry Dotson. He was like, man, that's a front man. That's a lead singer. And he was just analyzing and breaking down the whole documentary and just teaching me about the history of Memphis music. And so my dad was really, really cool. He loved to cook. He's a great cook too, man. Like phenomenal cook. And just a really, really great provider and protector. My dad was super, super protective of us growing up, and I understand.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
No. I could see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. At first, I didn't like it. I could understand why he'd be protective of my sisters. But as a guy, I'm like, my dad's like, but I understand when something happens like that in your life at a young age, you feel helpless as a boy. You're not tall enough, you're not big enough, strong enough, you're not old enough to defend your mother against something tragic like that. Yeah. So, growing up, my dad was super protective of us, man. If I ever had any problems with anybody, my dad was there and he was on your ass.
Yeah. Like,
no question. I mean, you could be 9 feet tall, man. Yeah. My dad was ready to go there.
Well, what's interesting is I have that in common with your dad. When I was a teenager, my mom was murdered in my house. Yeah. And I've never had kids. And there's a part of me that is so scared to have kids because I think I would be the most overprotective. I'd probably go to school with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sit in the back of the lunchroom, making sure no one's fucking with my kid. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way, man. I don't have children. And I think about that like, man, shit, man. It's like, I can't even imagine being responsible for like a life.
Yeah.
So I really respect people that have children, because it's like, how do you keep your sanity throughout the day? I mean, if I had babies or, I would just worry about them all the time.
Yeah, man.
So, shout out to those that have children and, are able to navigate that properly.
Do you want to have kids?
It's kind of hard to think that way right now because I'm so focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny because you were talking about the optimism in your dad's eyes and stuff like that. I see that a lot in you. There's a lot in, like, you know how to rally people and connect people. Like when we first talked last year, like a year ago, you were like, hey, you should do this. And then you kind of were like, you want to do this? And when I said, yeah, it was like we were doing it. Like you were calling people, you were booking my show. You were like, you got to call this show this. You know what I mean? Like and putting that show together in Labor Day, in the middle of like the pandemic, like when no one was fucking going anywhere. You had a totally amazing, like soul lifting, you know, like that. I was walking on clouds for days after that show on Labor Day. That was just fucking amazing, man. But
that was fun, man.
You can take on these tasks, and I know it was you that. I mean, you did this tour. I mean, you were the one that kind of like booked it and like got it going and doing all the promo.
I get that from my dad. My dad was the kind of person, he wouldn't allow you to put something off. Like, you know, whatever you thought, you know, if you think something's going to take a week to do, he would show you can get it all done in one day. You know, and he would always say, man, don't put that off tomorrow. Let's do it today. Write out a list and we'll knock it down. You know, we'll get up early in the morning. My dad was one of those. Let's wake up early in the morning and take care of everything. Yeah. And, you know, by the end of the day, he would be right. You know, what you thought took a week to do, you know, he could show you could get it all done in one day. And now you got the rest of the week to do something else that you need to do. So, you know, I'm a fan of people, and, you know, I consider myself to be a true friend. You are. So if I'm friends with you and you're friends with me, man, I'll go to war with you and for you. And so I just like to see my friends win, and I want to see people be happy and live out their dreams. So during that time, you know, a lot of musicians, you know, they weren't making any money, and, you know, they weren't playing to be able to make money. So, you know, I just thought it'd be a great idea to put together a show in Smithville, and the space below where I live was available. Bobby was coming to town. He already wanted to do a gig. So we just built a show around that, and reached out to you and reached out to all the cats, and it came together. And the town, man, give it up for the town. The people, I felt, really made that show special. The community in Smithville, my good friend Jim Horton, he and his wife Judy, you know, for weeks helped me to plan and execute that show. And Jim met me every morning for coffee at my place, and, you know, he had the pickup truck with the wagon on the back, you know, so anything that we needed to get, you know, he was there every day, man, as my brother. And he was like, James, let's, you know, however you need my help, let's do it. So it all came together, and you came out, man, and you hosted. Yeah. And it was dope. You know, there's video and audio from that.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because they were filming a thing there that night, too, for Black Fret, right? Yeah. You guys filmed a set? I remember watching that.
Yeah, but they're separate video and audio. Remember, we had Adrian and those guys, and Colin came out. And so we have that footage and that audio, and we're going to put that stuff together. And hopefully we're able to do kind of like a documentary type of thing about what took place this summer, and the music and performances that came out of, you know, all of the things that we had to deal with, you know, during this lockdown.
I think one of the things, this is weird to say, but I have, there was no elevation to the stage. So the audience and the musicians and the dancers and the poets, everyone was on the same level that night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there was just something very magical about that night and just that event. Maybe it was the first place anyone had gone for months, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't scary.
Yeah.
It seemed to be like safe. Like I didn't feel like I came, like on the drive home, I wasn't like, oh shit, I probably got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what's weird, nobody got sick. Nobody got sick, you know, but I think also at that time, you know, in Smithfield, we didn't have the COVID cases at the level of what was going on in Austin and other places. So, you know, other than the musicians who were coming in from out of town, everybody else was healthy. You guys were the flight risk.
Well, I wasn't, man. I mean, the only, like, I saw you last summer, and I saw Bevis one day.
Yeah.
I didn't see a lot of people.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, it all came together, man. We've been on a journey ever since that night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In terms of live performances. So, people ask, you know, what has the lockdown been like musically? And it's been fun for me personally.
Yeah.
You know, we've been able to do some really, really cool things musically.
Yeah. And it seems like those things will keep on going. What else are you doing other than the shows in July? Like, what else are you doing as James Robinson?
So, got some stuff coming up, ACL weekend. Got some things I can't talk about. I wish I could talk about, but I can't talk about. Some more recording, going back to Memphis. You know, now that things have opened up, just, you know, shows, getting back out, playing, and a lot of performing.
Yeah. That's great, man. You're one of my favorite performers, and really, like, just your voice is so gorgeous. And what you do with it is beautiful too. Like, you know how to use it. You don't overuse it. Yeah. Do you, what do you do? Is there anything? 'Cause you're 40 now. Like once you start hitting that shit, you're smoking.
I'm not 40 yet.
Oh, you're not 40 yet. Wait, what was your birthday? What was that birthday?
I'm 39.
Oh, okay. 39.
I'll be 40 next year.
That was a great text. 40. Did you text me that night? Like, no matter what you're doing, come to this address tonight.
And you brought me the Cameo record.
I did, man. I did. Well, there was nowhere open to buy you anything, so I was like, well, I'll give him my Cameo album.
Man, that was a dope gift, man. That was so cool, man. Yeah, the Cameo record, man.
Yeah,
that was cool, man.
Is there any new?
Yeah, that was a good night.
Yeah, that was a great night. Great night. Another night where I felt safe. Like, I got to tell you, I went to some stuff. Like, I even went to a show at Far Out Lounge in like November, and I was weirded out, and I left because I was weirded out by all the people.
Yeah.
And both of those situations were just totally felt very safe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got a good crew.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, that was a great night, and yeah, we've had fun.
Yeah, man, a lot of fun. You're a great, like you're like the ringleader of great shit. You are. You are. I mean, you think about all the people you introduced me to last year, like AJ Bingham. I'd never meet a lobbyist.
Yeah. I tell AJ all the time, he will be our next black president.
Yeah.
Yeah. He I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
But so many, you know, that was the cool thing about all of those episodes during that time. We just have so many amazing black minds here in Austin, you know, not just musicians and producers and songwriters, but, you know, folks involved in, you know, in politics and business and all different, you know, avenues here in Austin. It's just so many talented people, and it was cool to learn about everybody's journey and what they're working on, what they have to offer to the city of Austin. Like, I really enjoyed Tamika Soretti's interview.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was from Gary, Indiana.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. And yeah, she actually inspired a song that's going to be on my album. It's called The Awakening, and it was named after her episode.
Yeah.
Where she talked about how she, you know, her being the mother of a black son, she worries about them, you know, and just hearing her whole story. And so, like, each episode, you know, Brandon's episode, Shapeshifter, I wrote a song, you know, about, you know, his journey as a black man and as a musician and as an artist, you know, in the city and in the world. And so, yeah, each episode, man, I would listen to them and come up with, you know, they were giving me ideas for lyrics.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So,
I feel like, I mean, I got a lot of response from people all around. I even got negative response.
You told me about that.
Yeah. But the overwhelming thing was people were kind of like on this journey with me in real time, learning. You know what I mean? We were on this journey of discovery and awakening, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely, I mean, I got to thank you. It definitely changed my life a lot. I mean, that was a big, I mean, it was a lot, man. That was a lot when you don't know any of that stuff and you're presented with it from the book that you gave me about that horrible guy that how to have a slave. Remember that book you gave me the first day that I went over there?
Yeah.
Just things that I didn't know like that. Just like there are things you don't know. There are things people didn't tell you. Even like just now, all this stuff about Tulsa 100 years later is finally coming out, you know?
Yeah. You know, and like, you know, like I said, man, you can't crucify people for what they don't know.
Right.
Right. So use it as an opportunity to educate people and educate people with love, man, you know, because I think when we attack people for what they don't know, they'll put up a wall and then you can't even reach them.
Right.
You know, you can't, they don't even want to hear the truth or what you have to say. So as long as someone is willing to sit down and say, hey man, teach me, educate me. I want to learn. I want to do better. I want to help. I want to be part of the change that can happen.
Yeah.
That's always a good place to start. So, I was catching a little heat from folks that didn't understand, or I guess, you know, felt like they knew me, but they didn't, and thought that I had some, you know, ill will towards all white people, and like somebody like hit me up and was like, James, do you hate white people?
Right.
I was like, no,
Right.
I don't hate anybody, you know. So yeah, when you talk about, you know, there were a few people that were pissed off at you. There were a few people that were pissed off at me too.
Well, that's good, man. I mean, you know, we were doing
white
something.
and black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand that too. Yeah. There were a couple people that I reached out to that were like, no, man, go figure it out yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. And my dad's thing was, he still hasn't talked to me. My dad's thing was, was that, Johnny thinks he's black now. That was like, that's all he took from it.
Oh, he went there on, he went there on you, man.
Well, he told one of my uncles that. Have you seen him? He thinks he's black now. He
was just trying to push the button, man.
Yeah.
He was just trying to push a button. That's the weird thing about family. Family, they know how to push those buttons, man.
Yeah.
They know how to say that shit, man. That kind of gets under your skin, but you know, he'll come into the truth. You know, if it takes him a while, or if he never comes into the truth, man, you know who you are, and you know what, where your heart lies, and what you were genuinely trying to do and authentically doing.
Yeah.
You know, you were just trying to learn, man, to be a better person.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's the weird thing about a lot of this shit that we're still dealing with in the United States of America. I always felt like it's geographical and it's generational, you know. So, you know, it's sad to say this, but in order for a lot of this weird thinking to go away, you know, a generation of people are probably just gonna have to die, man.
Yeah,
you know,
I believe that.
You know, because I think sometimes when you reach a certain age, you know, you just get set in your ways and in the way you see the world, and no amount of education or whatever can change, you know, how you see shit. You know, the writing can totally be on the wall, and you still just see shit the way you see shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, I love talking to you. I loved doing that show with you the other day. It was great getting to.
Yeah.
And man, you're a fucking great photographer. Like I'm okay. I've been doing photo shoots. I've not canceled, but I've just thrown away 2 that I've done. I did one a few weeks ago. I stopped it in the middle of it and was like, nah, this isn't any good. I didn't even realize you were taking pictures, and you caught the photo where you were behind me and I was walking from the backstage to the stage. Like you caught literally one of my favorite moments. Like my favorite moments in my own life. I love taking that walk and like taking those breaths and like
that was your Neil Young moment.
Yeah,
I had to get that one. What was so damn funny? You were walking to the stage like you was Neil Young, man. I was right there. Right there to capture it, man. I said, "Go, Johnny." Johnny walking to the stage, just me and my guitar and my songs against the world.
Yeah,
I said, man, this is your Neil Young moment. Let me get this for this cat, man.
Yeah, it felt good, man. It's nice to see people playing. It was great getting to see you guys play. It's been great getting to see you at least 3 times playing in the last year. That thing on Labor Day, like with Bobby and stuff and all those guys, that was insanity.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you filmed that.
Yeah.
Are you going to do more stuff like that out there? Or?
Yeah, we're going to try. You know, with that many people involved, and especially like the caliber of musicians that were involved, it really comes down to like scheduling. And you know, that was the cool thing about with everything being locked down. All of those cats were available and free because they weren't, you know, on the road, or, you know, they didn't have other things competing with their time for that night. So it was so doable, man. So we'll see, you know, and if we never have a situation like that again, we did get it captured. So we have video, and really great audio and video of that night. Yeah. Where people can watch it over and over again. So we just have to render everything down and put it together and put it out, you know? So, yeah. My only regret, I wish, you know, we had got more footage of, what the audience had to say about that performance, right? You know, almost like some testimony, kind of stuff. Because it was just such a great group of people in there, and and, got a bunch of text messages and phone calls the next day about, people were sharing, just how awesome it was for them. And they were saying all these great things about, the musicians and the night.
Yeah.
And I wish we, had been able to get that on camera, right? That would have been a really, really cool thing for the city of Smithville and for everyone to see. But,
Yeah. Well, it was a magical night. I'm glad that it's on film. I can't wait to see it. And yeah, I can't wait to hear Rivers of My Father, man. I'm very excited about this. You got to finish that.
Yeah. So the song that I'll sing to you, I'll sing you Rivers of My Father, which is a song. Rivers of My Father is a song written by Gil Scott-Heron, and it was off of a record called Winter in America. And I performed that song, I think about like maybe 2 years before the lockdown, or a year before the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I performed that song live one night, and I have a audio
Is that from
a
Antones?
live recording of it. Excuse me?
From Antones?
No, I performed it for a house concert over on the east side.
Okay.
The Blue Room Supper Club. And so I'm going to send you the audio from that live performance of that song. And that along with, my father passing, I was like, man, Rivers of My Father, that'll be a great title for the album, know. So yeah, I'll send you the live version, and we're actually going into the studio to record a studio version of it. So it'll be the only song that'll be on my album that'll be a remake.
Uh-huh.
The rest are, songs that I wrote for my dad and just, about what's been going on during this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Rivers of My Father, I'll send that to you.
All right.
You
Yeah,
play
send
it
it
on
to
the
me
show.
now, because I'll put it together, and that way it'll come out tonight at midnight.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, man, this was fun, bro.
Yeah, it was great. It's always great talking to you and seeing your smiling face.
Man, thank you. Much love,
Yeah.
Johnny. Much
I
love.
love you,
much
man.
love.
This has been a great,
All right, brother.
a great year. Thank you for everything you've done for me. And actually, I'm glad I got to play with you guys. And I can't wait to see what else happens this summer.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Rivers of My Father, the album. It'll be done. It'll be out before the fall.
Well, good.
So,
Good, man.
yeah, I'm spending all summer long. I'm focused on finishing this thing.
Good.
So, perfect.
Man, love you.
Love too.
Thank you, man.
Love.
I'll send you all the
love.
links to this.
All right, brother.
All
Peace.
right, bye. James Robinson, amazing singer, amazing artist, amazing person. Always great getting to talk to him, man. Catching up after this intense year, being in lockdown. They're out there touring. Go to officialjamesrobinsonmusic.com for all of your James Robinson needs. I'll put the link to that in the text of this podcast. Thank you so much, James, for joining. I love him very, very much. And him and Brandon and that whole crew of dudes is just a great, great, great crew of people. All right. Hey, and don't forget, gang, when you're out there checking out officialjamesrobinsonmusic.com, you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is you find podcasts, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, whatever platform you use, you'll get new shows. 2 new shows a week, sometimes 3. I'm shooting for 3 next week, so let's see what happens. I've been doing a lot of them. I got to put a lot of them out, so maybe June will be a 3-show-a-week month. All right. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Thank you to James for coming by. Here's the rest of this beautiful live version of the Gil Scott-Heron song, Rivers of My Father. Have a great weekend. Let's get down.
down by a stream, God. Let me be my house. Let me be my house. Oh Lord, from everything. Oh, rivers of my Father. Can you carry me home? Please, Lord, just carry me home. Rubber soles against the concrete, and that painful concrete became my smile. Gotta change my way of living, Lord. Ooh, I gotta change my style, yeah. Let me lay down by a stream. Then let me be miles and miles and miles and miles and miles from everything. Oh, rivers of my Father. Please carry me home. Just carry me home. Reggie Carter on piano. Reggie Carter, yeah. Looking for a way out. Got to find a way out. Oh, this confusion. And I'm looking for a sign that points back to a way home. carry me home. Just carry me home.
How y'all feeling?